welcome to this exclusive interview with guest Sammy Dentino. Today we will be discussing the facts and effects of dyslexia and how they can impact a person's life. Hi Sammy, how are you today?
I'm good.
So why don't you tell me a little bit about yourself? Like what's your name, where are you from, things like that?
My name is Sammy Dentino. I'm from Westminster, Colorado, and I'm a freshman at CMC.
Where'd you go to high school?
Legacy High School.
What was growing up like? Do you have any siblings?
I have two older brothers.
Two older brothers? How's that?
It's fine. I mean, one older brother lives in California, so I don't see him a lot, and then I have one brother that lives with me, and it's just, brother.
So, in your own words, how would you describe dyslexia to our viewers that don't know what it is?
I would describe dyslexia. It would just be like a different way of kids how they learn. Like every kid learns differently, but with dyslexia, it makes kids learn a lot more differently than like other kids. Basically, you just learn a lot slower and in different ways than a lot of other kids would.
That makes sense. Does it affect like when you're reading? Describe your experience.
When I read a lot slower than other kids do. It takes me a while to like register what I read. After I read it, I have to reread a lot of things a lot of the time. And I mostly have to do like Spark Notes or like most of the time I would use like audiobooks because those definitely help me out a lot. Like hearing things like out loud helps me a lot more than reading things. So it was like every aspect of my life was affected by it. I couldn't even play video games on the Wii because I couldn't read anything. It was hard for me to watch TV on the guide. I couldn't read anything on there. Reading was just one of the worst subjects for me because I just couldn't read at all.
So describe the first time you or your family knew you might be different. How old were you?
I was in preschool and my parents got a call from my preschool teacher and they told my parents that I might be deaf because we were playing hide and go seek. And then when they were telling me to come out, I wasn't coming out of my hiding spot. So they told my parents that they thought I was deaf.
I first realized something was wrong with Samantha when I sent her to preschool and the teacher called and thought that she was deaf.
How do you think they got that connection between deaf and dyslexia? Those seem like two very different things to me.
Well, obviously when they took me to the doctors, they said I wasn't deaf because, they're doctors and they know what they're doing. But then after a while, they like run some tests on me and then they made me like take a bunch of different types of testing, like coloring a bunch of stuff and like stuff that they would normally, like a kid could normally do easily that I wasn't able to do. And then they kind of just like diagnosed me. But it took a while. I wasn't fully diagnosed until I was at least 10 years old.
How do you think things would be different if you weren't misdiagnosed?
I think things would be a lot different. I wouldn't be so behind in a lot of things as I am right now. Like to this day, I still don't know how to do a lot of things that I should know how to do, like count money or like tell time on like a regular clock. So I would definitely be ahead of a lot of things than I would be right now.
So how long did it take you to realize that things were going to be okay and that you were going to be able to go through college and finish high school and all things like that?
I say once I got into middle school, I think me and my parents both knew that I was going to be okay because my middle school offered a lot of programs and a lot of different ways for me to learn, and they just helped me out a lot. So then once we realized that I had like ways of getting around things, we all knew that I'm going to be good.
So when you're going through your senior year of high school, that really stressful time, and everyone's applying to colleges, was your college application process any different because of your diagnosis?
No, they didn't hold a lot of the colleges that I wanted to apply to. Even though I told them that I was suffering from a disability, they didn't want me to test or like apply in different ways. They wanted all applications to be the same in certain ways, so my applications weren't different.
So out of all the colleges you applied to, what made you choose CMC?
I chose CMC because I like the way CMC kind of gives off like a nice like vibe. It kind of gives off like it's a community college, but you get the feel of a university at the same time, which I think is really cool.
What do you think has been the hardest thing about struggling with dyslexia?
The hardest thing is just trying to reach a specific goal, and like in my case, I'm trying to reach passing this semester, and it's really difficult to pass. It's really difficult to do that, and then I would also say just whatever, like for me, I have the most struggle in math, so that would be like really difficult because in math, I'm not good at it.
If you knew you would have to wait to join the Isaacson program, would you have gone to CMC still?
Yes, I still would have gone to CMC just because I think no matter what, I think CMC is a really good school, so it's definitely worth the wait, I think.
So what have been your top coping mechanisms in dealing with school when you begin to struggle?
I'd say stress balls were definitely a good way for me to like learn quicker. I don't know why. Just stress balls were really easy. The things that pushed me a lot was athletics. I was involved in a lot of sports growing up. I did softball and dance and basketball, and those definitely helped me out in my education because it just made me active and it just helped my brain work a lot more. And then getting the extra help was definitely a good piece of helping, I guess.
What kind of extra help do you receive from teachers?
I would get modified work, so like say like on a multiple choice test, and there'd be like 3 questions, or there'd be like an answer and like there'd be a question and like 3 answers, and then they would cross off like one of the answers, so then like I can narrow it down to like the 2. So a lot of stuff like that, I would get modified work, and then I would get extra tutoring, and then I was in a lot of like special ed, like a lot of special different classes than a lot of the other kids at my school was. So.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, that's all really interesting. Do you think that, like, if you could tell all kids with dyslexia one thing, what do you think you would tell them?
I would tell them to not let it hold you back from the things you want to do in life, because that's something I had to learn, was that, because going through high school, I kept telling myself that I was never going to be able to pursue certain things because of my disability, but I was able to prove that wrong. So definitely don't let it hold you back from the things you want to do in the future.
I think that's really important. Do you think that struggling with this has made you stronger than if you hadn't had to struggle?
Oh yeah, I definitely think it gives me a sense of purpose, honestly. It gives me a way of just like saying like, I'm stronger, so I can get through this, because I've gone through a million other, hard tasks in my life, so it definitely pushes me a lot more.
I agree with that, because I feel like a lot of kids that don't have to struggle, they just take things for granted, they finish their homework and they don't have to do anything else. But the kids with dyslexia work so much harder, and I think that really makes them come out on the top in the end. Is there any other closing thoughts you want people to know?
Just treat people nicely, I guess.
It's really important.
Yeah.
Well, Sammy, thank you so much for joining me today. Sammy made an awesome documentary about her struggle, and it's definitely worth a watch. You can view her video at youtube.com/SammyDentino. Thanks for joining us today, Sammy.
Thank you.